I'm just gonna assume that all of you have zero experience, even though you do have. Just setting ourselves ready for beginner mind. Cross your legs and stack your head above your heart above your hips. And close your eyes for a moment and place your hands on your belly. If you're not really used to touching your belly, just saying hello here. And slowly breathe in through your nose. Feel up your belly. Let belly blow up. Then slow exhale through your nose or mouth comfortably and let your belly draw in. One more like the deep breathing through your nose. Fill up the belly. And slow exhale to empty it out. Feel the belly rise when you're inhaling and draw your navel in when you're exhaling. And keeping your eyes closed, now move your hands to your heart center. This time we expand our chest when we are inhaling and slowly empty it out when you're exhaling. And when you're inhaling this time, slightly lift your elbows away from your body. So your body is expanding not just south and north, it expands to east and west as well. Increase the capacity of our body when we are breathing in and out. And slowly come back to center. Now we're gonna work on our Ujjayi breath. Have anybody heard about Ujjayi breath? Yeah, so this is the most popular breath exercise, no? Most popular breath exercise in Vinyasa class. And when we are doing it, it's having a little bit of the Darth Vader, the Star Wars, the sound in your breath. But it's not, I'm not asking to scratch the throat. It's more like slight, very mild constriction on the back of the throat. So imagine you are fogging the mirror in front of you in the bathroom. So if you can, if that helps, you can bring the hand in front of your nose and mouth. We're going to practice this with the open mouth. We're going to fogging out the imaginary mirror in front of us. Yeah, and we're doing that with mouth shut. So we're going to do breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose, fogging the mirror out. Imagine you're pushing the air up when you're breathing in and gently pushing the air out, down when you're exhaling. Imagine there's a slight coffee filter on your throat, so there's a slight constriction going on there. So this breath is called Ujjayi pranayama, our victorious breath. So we can build the heat inside of our body by just breathing through. We use this breath throughout the class. Now let's work on our spine work. So our spine has three categories: our cervical spine and middle spine, thoracic spine, and lumbar spine. So I remember it as a breakfast, lunch, dinner. So 7 a.m., we have 7 necks on our neck and 12 necks on our middle spine and five bones under our belly button area. So our lumbar spine, our lower back, known as, that's the most heavy structure in the body. So it's very sturdy and there's a very little bit of mobility there. That's why when we're twisting, we have to be very mindful not to twist from our lower back because that area is not meant to twist. So it's only going towards forward and back where our hips moving. So keep in mind that. So when we're doing our cat and cow, we will practice that on the seated first. Inhale, first lift your chin, cervical spine, and then push the chest out, our thoracic spine, and then curl your tailbone up, our lumbar spine. And when we're coming back from our tailbone, curl our tailbone in, now draw our navel in and tuck your chin to chest. So this is cat pose, and inhale, open up. This is cow pose. So exaggerate the arch on our spine. And when you're pushing forward, you're sucking everything in. So let's do that on tabletop. Stack your shoulders over your wrists, stack your hips over your knees. This is tabletop. Make sure you're spreading your fingers really wide and your body, your arm is 90 degrees with the ground. Inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly, open your chest, lift your chin up. Here, press the hands down and pull towards your hips so you can open your heart a little better. Then exhale, cat pose. Tuck your tailbone in. Spread your shoulder blades wide and tucking your chin to chest. One more inhale, cow pose. Articulate the movement, remembering our body part, our spine part. And exhale, tuck in. Inhale, slowly come to center. Now walk your knees like your kind of feet distance back. So you're slightly back. Now inhale, shift your weight forward without arching out your spine, maintain long spine. And exhale, push back. Gentle stretch on the wrists. One more inhale, shift your weight forward. Make sure your body's not making arch. Tuck your tailbone in. Exhale, push back. Now inhale, slowly come to tabletop, stack up, but your knees slightly behind you. Now tuck your toes under without moving any body part. Exhale, extend your legs back. So you're just lifting your knees off the ground by pressing your heels to the back, to the imaginary wall. This is plank pose. So plank pose should be shoulders on top of the wrist. Now make sure your hands are shoulder distance apart as well. Now press the ground away. If it's too much, you can always keeping your knees onto the ground as well. What I don't want you to do is this, sagging the hips down, putting all the weights on the wrist. Try to resist that by pressing the ground away. Inhale here. Now bend your knees. Lift your heels still. Exhale, slowly lift your hips up and back. Imagine you're opening your armpit towards your knees. Turbo dog, so we're bending our knees deep, where our heels are lifted a lot. Now keep pressing your fingertips down. Gently walk your feet slightly in. Now plugging your heels towards the ground. It is okay if they are still lifted. Just going towards that direction. First, starting from stretching the spine. And keep breathing here, keeping your head in between your arms. Inhale, look at the top of your mat. Exhale, ragdoll pose. Hands stay. Your tippy toe walking towards the wrist. Tiny steps at a time. Very nice, Ulrich. And your feet arrive right behind your wrist. Now, if you have the block, I encourage you to bring it and place in between our legs. So with the long distance, we are putting the middle height in between the shins. Just give a little bit of the weight, yeah? So when you're putting here, squeeze the block in so we can engage our outer glute. Because we have tendency bringing knees inside and like dropping in. So we're keeping it to make them 11 shape. Now, stick your fingers in your bikini line, yeah? And sticking in back. So this is a hinging motion going on. So you're folding a little deeper. Feel the release on the lower back. This ragdoll pose is to release the whole spine down using the gravity. So keep pushing your back and hinge and shift your weight forward so your weights are on your toes. And fold a little deeper. Now let your head and neck dangle heavy. Option to grabbing your elbows. Give a little bit more weight here. You can shake to side, nod your head, yes. Shake your head, no. We soften our body, spine, and mind. Now slowly release your fingertips onto the ground. Keep squeezing the block in between your legs. Bend your knees, tuck your tailbone in. Slowly roll yourself up, stacking one vertebra over the other, slow as possible. Like zombie rising up. Very slowly. And come to standing. Roll your shoulders a couple of times. At this point of the class, we gather our hands in front of the heart. This is Anjali Mudra. Let us get into the meditative mindset. But I use this pose as a reminder to open my heart. So we're bringing thumbs to sternum, our breastbone, and we push our sternum towards our thumbs to open up the heart. Yeah. So close your eyes for a moment. We always set the intention for the class because yoga is so much more than just being flexible and being strong. So today I invite you an intention of allowing yourself to be a beginner. Nobody starts from the top. So no matter if this is your first class or 100th class, allow yourself to be beginner so you can unlearn some stuff and relearn new stuff. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale, release. Now open your eyes and check your body. So when we're standing, because this is workshop, I'm gonna talk a little bit more. When we're standing, most of times, we're standing here like this or like this, right? So the reason why we're standing here is because we have tight hamstring. Hamstrings start from our glute, bottom of the hip, and then end on the knee muscle here. So when it's shortened, it's pulling our pelvic floor back. So that's why we are sagging up, like standing like that. How we can fix, how we can stretch our hamstrings. Stretching means making muscle a little longer, right? In order to do that, we have to lift our pelvic floor and lower our knees, yeah? So when we are doing first standing, this is neutral standing. First, tuck tailbone in, lengthen it out, and draw navel in. And roll your shoulders out and palms by your side, facing forward. This is our neutral standing at yoga. So just by standing, you're engaging whole body. That's why I recommended in the beginning to use the block here. When you're sticking your block in between your shins, this one makes your feet to be hip distance apart. And just by squeezing the block, you're tucking tailbone in and engaging your core. So practice that if your standing posture is not very proper, and squeeze and feel it. Now we normally do feet together to engage, but today we're going to use the block in between our legs. So keeping your feet hip distance apart. Now let's rise up to mountain pose. Inhale, mountain pose. Palms facing forward and directly lift up. So your pinkies are pointing each other, thumbs are pointing outside. Now send your arms slightly back so you can feel the shoulder opening. Now draw your navel in. Do not let your body banana shift. Tuck tailbone in, navel in. Now, instead of lifting your shoulders up like that, relax it down, draw your navel in. That motion is going to lift our rib cage up rather than the shoulders. Very nice. Inhale here. Let's go down to forward fold. Bring your hands to heart center first. Now, place your fingers on the bikini line again, so we can hinge from our hips. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend your knees and push your hips back, 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 and fold until your belly touch your thighs. Yeah, so that means you have to bend your knees a lot. Please do that. So fold until your belly touch your thighs. Now release your hands onto the ground. Shift your weight a little bit, go forward, and lift your tailbone towards the ceiling. Inhale, halfway lift. If you have the block, place under your hands so you can lift your chest forward rather than arching up. And exhale, fold. And remove the block and slowly rise up. You can take a seat and take a look at my body first. A lot of people, first question I get, when I say you should do yoga, and the first question I get is, I'm not flexible. I cannot even touch my toes. My answer is, why do you have to touch your toes? But do yoga to be flexible. We are not doing yoga because we are flexible. So in order to, if you really want to touch your toes, if that's your goal, let's let that happen. First, when we are folding, the reason why we feel it's so hard is because we are dumping the weight like this. And that's a shortening our hamstring. Did you see that? If I do that, my pelvic floor going the posterior tilt, that makes my hamstring shorter. In order to lengthen it out, bend your knees. Tilt from your hips. That's why we did the finger sticking in. Push, 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 push back. So you're narrowing distance between torso and legs. Lengthen it out so you're feeling the release on the lower back. And then lower down. And then you can adjust it here. You can shift forward, straighten your legs a little bit more, going a little bit deeper forward. So that's coming later. So I want you to practice this motion. You can also place the block in front of you if you need a little bit more better stability. So let's bring our hands to heart center. This time we're not gonna sticking it because it looks weird. Every class we're sticking the bikini line. So we're going to bring the hands to heart center first, keeping your feet hip distance apart if you need the stability. Otherwise, bring your big toes to touch. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, standing forward, full bend your knees, hinge from your hips. Feeling your fingers are pushing your hips back. Let the body hinge. Lower, bend your knees a little bit more, a little bit more. Yes. Now your hands can stay on top of the block or onto the ground. Shift your weight a little bit forward so your toes are grabbing the mat. Now you can straighten your legs a little bit more if you want to feel the hamstring stretch. Very nice, very nice. Inhale, halfway lift. Halfway lift means you're lifting your chest forward. Like imagine there's a hot lava outside of your mat. You're picking over the hot lava from the cliff. So lengthen it out, looking far out because your head is also an extension of your spine. Lift your sternum. Very nice, Lori. So squeeze, bend your knees in here as well. If your halfway lift looks like this, bend your knees so you can lengthen your spine forward. Inhale here. Now exhale, place your hands right next to your feet. Yeah, first hands right next to your feet and step your left leg back, step your right leg back to plank pose. Don't send your knees, toes too far so you're ended up landing here. If that's happening, walk your toes a little bit, go forward and drop your hips a little bit lower so your shoulders stay on top of your wrists. Now we're going to do Chaturanga Dandasana, which is low plank in Sanskrit. Let's drop the knees down first. Drop the knees down, keeping your hips straight from tailbone to head of crown, keeping the length here. Inhale, shift your weight forward, feel the stretch on your wrist, keeping your arms straight, keep pressing the ground away, draw your navel in. Exhale, bend your elbow just tiny bit, as much as you can, keep the long line on your spine, hugging your upper arm next to your ribs. Keeping hugging in, untuck your toes. Inhale, upper facing dog. Straighten your arms, squeeze your legs so much so your knees not touching the ground. And keep sending your hips go forward, sinking forward. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up and back. That was a lot, so drop your knees down and have a sit. So there is many different variations to go through Chaturanga. So let me show you first version of Chaturanga. When you're doing Chaturanga, a lot of people think this is this. That's regular chest push-up. Yogi push-up, which is Chaturanga Dandasana, low plank, it's a full body engagement. So you have to draw elbows in, shift forward, bend, elbows stay in. From my head to my heels, make a crazy straight line. But this one requires a lot of strength. So a lot of people ended up having this motion, yeah? Elbows behind the wrist, hips sagging down, doing nothing good. So if that's you, if you need to build the arm strength up to the point, shift forward, practice this. Just micro bending elbows, but instead hugging whole upper arms next to your ribs. So hugging whole upper arms in, and then push up, practice this, yeah? So this is a homework. We are not gonna go to upper facing down. If you need to build arm strength, when I ask you to Chaturanga, come to plank, drop the knees down, shift forward, bend, and then instead of upper facing down, push up, tuck your toes, back to downward facing dog, yeah? Because upper facing dog is a whole another story. So we need to build the arm strength first, and we're gonna do stretch. And if this is too much, another variation, you can stand plank. Keep pressing the ground away, yeah? This is another variation. Another variation, lower all the way down. And then untuck your toes, squeeze your hips, lift your chest up, not hips up, just chest up to baby cobra. And then push yourself up and back to downward facing dog. Yeah. So this is Sun Salutation A. This is the basic structure of Sun Salutation A. We're gonna go through the breath movement. Before doing that, I want to point out one point first. Our shoulder is very important whenever it comes to yoga. I will show you some movement, two movements we need to remember. This is shoulder retraction, yeah? Shoulder blades coming together, shoulder blades are kissing each other. And then this is protraction. Shoulder blades spread wide, yeah? As you can feel, if you retract, you're opening your heart. You feel the stretch. When you are protracting it, you're engaging core. So when we're doing plank, we need to protract. Imagine there's a wall in front of you, you're pushing the wall away. That's the motion we're gonna do plank. So plank is not this, plank is this. And especially I like to do, especially power yoga, I like to do high plank. So spreading shoulders wide and sucking everything in. That motion, just holding the plank for 30 seconds, gonna make you super strong. So if your wrists are feeling okay, let's come to first tabletop. Come to tabletop and look at your hands. Are you pressing your bottom of your hands? If that's happening, you're feeling the wrist pain. Sooner or later, it's gonna happen to you. Press your thumb, fingertips, second, middle, fourth, fifth. Now press your fingertips down and press your thumb and index finger a little bit more than pinky. Yeah, so that way you're distributing your weight a little bit better, not dumping the weight to wrist. Now walk your knees slightly back, tuck your toes. Imagine this is not lifting up. We are keeping engagement on your upper body, just kicking your heels back. So you're feeling the engagement on your legs. Let's practice one more time. Drop your knees down directly. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, extend your legs, engage your glute. Nice. Now drop your knees down because we're gonna practice our Chaturanga. Press the ground away, one more time. Protract your shoulder. Nice, inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, Chaturanga. Bend your elbows to the point you can keep your long line. Inhale, push up to plank. Tuck your toes. Exhale, lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Very nice. Now let's flow, linking breath to movement. Inhale, look at the top of your mat. Exhale, walk to the top of your mat. Left blocks handy if you need a better support. Inhale, halfway lift. Always lean forward. Your toes are the brake for your body. Exhale, fold. Imagine your fingers in there. You're braking the chopstick in there. Inhale, mountain pose. Press your heels down. Slowly lift yourself up. Pinkies pointing towards each other. Exhale, hands to heart center. This is called Samastitihi, standing at attention. That's the one set of Sun Salutation A. Now we're gonna go. Inhale, mountain pose. Reach arms up, keeping the body neutral, standing pose. Remember, draw your navel in, lengthen the tailbone. Exhale, standing forward fold. Bring your hands to heart center. Bend your knees so you can hinge from your hips. Let your sternum go forward, not your head dropping down. Bend your knees a little bit more. Bend your knees. Now hands come to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Place your fingers on your shin or thighs, even on the block to lengthen your spine, whatever works for you. Exhale, plank pose. Hands stay right next to your feet. Then step your left leg back, right leg back. Your shoulders stay right on top of your wrist. Press the ground away. Protraction going on. Feel the engagement. Now drop your knees down. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, Chaturanga. Just micro bend and your elbows hugging elbows next to you. Nice, Carol. Inhale, push up, rather. Push up to plank. Tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Very nice. Inhale, look at the top of your mat. Exhale, travel to top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen out. Open your chest. Feel the engagement. Exhale, fold. Can you bring the torso a little bit closer? Inhale, mountain pose. Rise up, squeezing your glute. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samastitihi. Now, one more round to get this in our body. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, lengthen your spine down. Let your torso touch your thighs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen it out. Exhale, high plank, hands by your feet and step your left leg, step your right leg back. Protraction going on your shoulder, press the ground away, press the earth away. Drop your knees down. Inhale, shift your weight forward, keeping your arms straight, keep pressing the ground away. Exhale, bend, Chaturanga. Inhale, push up. Exhale, downward facing down. Lift your hips up and back. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Now press your hands down, lift your heels. Press your hands and tuck in your chin to just roll forward to plank. Nice. Shift your weight forward, bring it lower down. Exhale, slowly lower down as one piece. Coming down to the mat, your belly stay onto the ground. Let's strengthen our back. We've done Sunday flow. We're just strengthening our back line before end of class. Press your toes down, keeping your feet together or hip distance apart. That's the maximum you can go. Press your toes down. Squeeze your leg muscles so much so your knees not touching the ground. Squeeze your hips, hands under your shoulders. Inhale, baby cobra. Just lift your chest away from the ground. Make sure you're not lifting your chin too much. Neutralize your gaze. Your head is always an extension of spine. Hugging elbows in next to you. You're not using your hands to push the ground away, so you can even lift your palms off the ground and holding this pose. Inhale. Exhale, slowly dropping your head onto the ground. This time, place your hands behind your head. Now we're going to lift our head up. When we're lifting our head up, I want you to think lifting elbows a little bit higher than head. Yeah, even though that's not gonna happen, imagine that. Press your toes down. Inhale, baby cobra, and keep pushing your head to your hand and hands gently pushing your head forward. We're strengthening our neck, which we barely do. So lift, lift, lift. Inhale, lift your elbows a little bit higher. Exhale, release. Very nice. Hands under your shoulders. Lift your hips up and back to child pose. Open your knees a little bit wide. Bring your big toes to touch and send your hips back. This is the resting posture we do the most often. Try to keep sending your hips towards your heels and keep reaching your fingers forward. Feel your armpit stretched out. If that's your hips not touching the heels, you can always place the cushion under your hips as well. Feel the grounding motion and rock your head side to side and massage the space in between your eyebrows. That is called our third eye. And slowly roll yourself up to sit. That was our Sun Salutation A. Great, great job. Now let's stretch our body before ending the class. Roll our shoulders together. Lengthen out. Always remember, lift your tailbone slightly higher than pubic bone. So that way we're not hunching down, we're lengthening out. Yeah. Reach arms up, up, up. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. First, right hand coming behind your hip, left hand coming outside the right thigh. Right hand is your kickstand. So instead of like twisting here, always remember our lumbar spine not twist. Lengthen it out. Right hand is kickstand to push the ground away and then twist to the right. Your left hip, right hip stay onto the ground. Breathe and lengthen. Breathe out, twist. And here comes my favorite twist. Keeping this twist, just turn your head towards your left. So our cervical spine has more mobility, and also it's hard to stretch that area because it has a higher mobility. So just adding extra stretching here. Inhale here. Slowly release your right hand and grabbing outside of your left side. Now, imagine you're doing cat pose. Draw your navel in, tucking your chin to chest, spreading your shoulder blades wide like you're doing protracting. So draw your navel in, stretch the back of your shoulders and neck. And slowly come to center. Let's go through the other side. Switch the leg. Whatever your leg was front, switch it out. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. First, left hand coming behind your hip, right hand outside of your left thigh. Your left finger as a kickstand. Press the ground away to puff the chest, then twist over to the left. Left hip, right hip, equally pressing down. Breathe in, lengthen. Breathe out, twist. Now, keeping this twist, inhale. Exhale, just turn your head towards the right, looking over your right shoulder, keeping long spine. Breathe in here. Breathe out here. Now, slowly release your left hand, grabbing outside of your right side. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, hugging in, draw your navel in, spread your shoulder blades wide, tucking your chin to chest. Stretch the back of your body. Inhale. Exhale, slowly come to center. Nice work. Bring your hands to heart center of our Anjali Mudra as a reminder to open our heart. Lift your sternum, press your thumbs to heart pushing back the thumbs. Now bring your thumbs to the third eye center, the space in between your eyebrows. Give a little massage. This is called third eye center, the seat of our intuition. Always trust we have this superpower with us. Inhale, lift to your heart. Exhale, we bow forward with gratitude. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. It was easy, right? Not that difficult. We just need to find the modification. If you have a little bit more time, I'm gonna just explain a little bit more. Downward facing dog is the most common pose in yoga, but also the most misaligned pose. Downward facing dog, a lot of people do either too wide and like rounding it, or too narrow. The best way to find it is coming from plank pose directly or child pose. So when we did the plank pose from the tabletop, I asked you to move your knees a little bit back, right? So when you're from here, if you extend your legs back, your shoulders stay on top of the wrist, right? And here, we're just going to bend our knees and keeping your hips up and back, diagonal direction. It is okay to stay here. You're just stretching your back. Forget about hamstring before stretching your back. Keep pressing the ground away so your armpits pointing the knees. If you want to stretch the hamstring, you can now plug your heels towards the ground. It is okay if that's not touching. Just don't compromise your spine and do not tuck your chin to chest. Keeping your head right in between your bicep, just looking at your nose tip if you need to find the gaze, which is called drishti in yoga, and then slowly come down. Downward facing dog is a great way to stretch. Actually, I rest in downward facing dog. In the beginning, I thought, how can people call it resting posture? It's torturing. You can actually feel that. Hope that they can come often. And I encourage you to join Power Yoga 101 class tomorrow, 4 p.m. because that one, we have a set of basic structure of the yoga, Vinyasa yoga, and we go through every time, every day, every Monday, same structure. So it's a great way to apply what you learned during the class. And if you have any question, you can always ask me. Thank you so much for joining me and hope to see you guys all very soon. Great work.